All right, welcome to another episode of Timeless Truths. I'm Chad Foss, hanging out with my brothers Brian, Richard, and Jacob today. And we're going to talk a little bit about something that's kind of an elephant in the room. And we thought it was a great time to talk about it because we're at the end of the year where some of our sales are really important, but where we're going to really hit home on is retail. And I think the topic that we really want to talk about in kind of the roundtable is there's a lot of people in the industry that are thinking that retail is dead, that others believe that it's really moving toward affiliation links or the future, but also in the same breath, right, that they can't make any, money off of retail. And that's what we're going to really talk about is, are we really talking about, retail in general? Are we talking about products? Are we talking about motivation on your team? So we're going to really kind of kick it off with just a quick question of where do you guys, when you kind of first heard or have seen it online where you think retail is dead in our industry, what was kind of your first reaction and maybe where did you hear it from? So we'll start with Jacob.
Yeah, so I personally haven't bought into that statement that retail is dead. In my company, we've picked up doing extensions. And when you talk about premium retail product, extensions are it,
Yeah,
right?
that's a game changer for sure.
And so that has been pretty eye-opening that in a conversation of retail is dead, we have inserted and implemented a new service offering that requires the purchasing of a premium retail product, and people are booking it. They're getting those consultations. They're ordering the hair, So that has really opened up my eyes on that. It's there's a certain market that for sure is still shopping,
Yeah.
right?
So let me
But then
ask you, are you marking that up 100%, Jacob?
Yep, we are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
So you got those same kind of margins as our wet goods.
Yep. I'm
Yeah.
marking it up 100%. I'm paying up to that 20% commission, like on the sliding scale. I think that's a conversation that some salons have with when they are heavy in extensions. It's like, hey, do I pull that away from their retail sale, like wet product sales to be able to distinguish? I think yes. I think so that you can then say for the other 90% of my business, am I fulfilling my recommendation, my percentage of recommendations? Because otherwise it could be deceptive. It's like, oh, you have a 30% retail to service this month. And it's like, oh, that's right. I sold 2 packs of extensions, but I sold
Mm.
no shampoo or conditioner.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm not going to punish my hairstylist for selling a premium luxury product. So I'm rewarding her by saying, hey, that's part of your sliding scale. If you sell a pack, like recently she got, it was almost like a $300 commission check
Nice. Yeah, that's
because
huge.
she sold a couple packs of extensions and then she's a good retailer of wet products. So I was like, I personally as an owner, I get excited because I'm like, I think it's some of the founders of the Timeless Truths, right? Like Michael Cole and Randy Kunkel, they talk about how retail is such a vital part of our business. And
Mm.
it's just like tips, like retail commission can be a vital part of your lifestyle and your income. Because let's do the math, right? A $300 commission on just retail. She didn't have to do any more clients. How many more clients would she have to do to get another $300 in commissions, right?
Right. Yep.
And if she could replicate that, 2 paychecks a month, that's $600, right? $600 times 12 months. That's some serious money
No joke. Yep.
just for selling a retail item.
Yep.
Um, So yeah, man. So I think to that question, I think is retail dead? No, even though on my wetline products and goods, I am down as a company, and we can talk
Yeah.
more about that after everybody kind of gives their insight. But
Yeah.
yeah, I wouldn't agree with it.
Yeah. I love that.
What
Richard,
about
what's
you,
what's
Richard?
coming up for you?
I don't think it's dead, and I never think it has ever been dead. I think we are on the forefront of the industry. We're professionals. We should know what product lines we're using and why we use them and who are we giving them out to. Identifying our clientele, very important. I don't think it's dead at all.
Mm. Hey, Brian, as the outsider, kind of even as a consumer, what are your thoughts kind of on retail in our industry?
It feels like I've heard this one for decades, where it's just, but it's like never give a what to do without a how to do it. It goes down to basics. And I love hearing Jacob's take on extensions, where it's like, just the idea they have to relearn how to do it. I mean, that person is there in your space, and you have social channels, you have all these different ways to teach and show people why you use what you use, why you love your tools, that they're tools. And, I think if someone starts using something else in another, they need the product, they need to wash their hair, they need to understand what it's doing to their hair. So like the education part never changes, but there is that price shopping, and we maybe get, like the 12 buyer types, or, like understanding your customer and where their draw is. But I don't think the products have never been better or looked better in my visual space. Like when I go into a space and I see those products, I see the layouts, the point of purchase. Holy cow, like how could you not buy it, right?
Yeah, I agree. So let me kind of ask you, like, when you kind of think of like in the business sense, like the role that retail plays in your salon company, is it honestly something that's like a priority? Is it a problem? Is it like background noise? Like what's kind of coming up for you? Like I think as a leader, we have one perception, and then sometimes our culture and our team have a different perception. So I'd love to maybe get, some feedback on that as well.
Yeah. Man, I think you're right, right? Like I think the owner carries one, some owners, and then the staff carry another. But as consultants, right, and then owners and leaders, like it's our job, and it's on us to set the standard and the example. It's to then be able to hold people accountable. Right. So for
Yeah.
example, yesterday I was behind the chair all day, $800 day in services. And when I tell you, I asked every single client about product, and I let my clients know about their loyalty points, right? Like let's side note that conversation, loyalty points. And everyone said no. It was like, I could feel defeated a little bit. When I looked at my numbers, I was like, oh, zero retail. That's not a great example. But the example that I can tell you I set was I asked. Right. And that's kind of one of those accountabilities. Like if we were asked our employees on a 1 to 10 scale, how would you rate yourself on just asking? Or I'm
Yeah.
thinking about because I've been coaching some of my front desk team, and it's like they have that opportunity tracker where they mark all the no's that they get in their offerings, and then they also mark the yeses. And so I recently had a one-on-one with one of my front desk who we were looking at her tracker, and it was like a bunch of no's, and she's like, yeah, like nobody this, nobody that, right? It's all encompassing. Nobody wants to upgrade. And I was like, well, what about this one? There's a smiley face sticker. They get stickers, right? We've gamified it. And she's like, oh, that client came in, had expressed how long of a day he had, and he was looking forward to this all day. And so I suggested he upgrade to our elite hot towel scalp massage. And he's like, you know what? After my long day, I think that sounds great. I'll do it. She got a yes. So then she shared how he came up at the end of his service and how thankful he was and how amazing he felt. And thank you so much for that recommendation. That's exactly what he needed. So what I did as a coach and an owner for her in that moment, right? And this is kind of the message that I share with everybody is like, I told her, reframe your mind around no's, right? In that on the other side of those no's is an encounter like that yes that you got from that client. And how did you feel? Don't focus on how you feel when you get the no. Focus on how you feel when you get the yes, right? Because that's that dopamine hit.
Yeah.
Like and she's like, oh, I felt great. I felt like I did my job. I felt happy for him that he felt better. I was like, okay, then would you not want to feel that over and over and over again?
Yeah.
She's like, yeah. She's like, oh my God, I need to reframe my mind around the offering and being okay with no's to get to more of those yeses.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll throw in one detail, like with the no, I remember some of our materials training your brain to have it say not yet.
Yeah.
Like that,
Yeah.
not today, that it's not no forever. It's
Not
to your
right
point, not today. I need to get, like, there's other reasons, but yeah, if you start hearing no's as not yet.
Yeah, I like that mindset for sure. Because I know in our training program, especially in the associate program, when they're kind of learning new scripts or, learning to get in their kind of comfort zone, is like I always tell my team members and even the people I coach, like when you hear no, that actually means you're doing your job, right? When you're first starting out, like when you're hearing the word no, that truly means in my heart that you're actually trying, you're doing the things that are a little bit challenging until you find your voice. So like we have to really reframe our mindset for sure when it comes to that conversation, because I don't know if we talked about this in a previous podcast or another thing that was on where it's like, I think from like age 1 to 5, you actually hear the word no, right? Like 10 times more than your own name. So we're literally programmed that no is like a bad thing. And then that's what kind of shuts us down. And then again, to your point, that kind of becomes a problem in our retail culture in our salon company, right? So yeah, that's an amazing point. And I think we have to like always continue to mentor our teams with that. We can't just like say that one time and then be done and think we've done our job. Yeah, you're absolutely correct on that. I love that. Richard, what's kind of coming up for you for as far as like the details, like what's retail play, and especially in a barbershop?
Yeah, in the barbershop, I've always thought of product as an extension of the service, whatever
Mm.
that, the popular haircut, the drop fades and the whatever mop top thing, whatever it's called right now.
What's coming up?
You know,
Was it like
if they
was
go
it like a
out,
number 11 guard now or something that people are doing on top? Like there's some guard that they're bringing into their barbers
oh
to
yeah,
get
I have
this
no
look.
idea. Yeah, I don't know. But like selling that client a product that they're going to use, like the texture powder or some waxes,
Mm.
and to give them that wavy look and what they're looking for. That's an extension of the service.
Yeah.
I always assume the haircut's not done until it's styled out. And then the service isn't done until you've educated them how to use the products that you used. Um, so it's not background noise. It's part of the service. I believe a pomade or a good product for one of my clients is just as important as the clipper guards or my scissors or anything else. So
I love it, man. I think that that kind of segues in like our first timeless truth that I think should never go away is like I feel like in our mindset, right? It's like retail was never about just the product, right? It's really actually about the relationship, the recommendation, and just the ritual. It's not just about a transaction. And I think as leaders and as coaches, we have to constantly be mindful and talk to those points, because one thing that I've recognized in this industry, even in my own salon company before we sold it, was my wife was a product junkie and I had a retail management background. So we came out the gate just retail strong. And I can tell you from a point of experience in the salons I coach, if the owner is really strong at retail, right, then their team is really strong at retail. And as an owner, if you've kind of sucked or it's really been kind of background noise for you, like your whole
I think you need to
team.
say that again, Chad. Say that again so that when we edit that, that is like big bold letters. Say that again, man.
Which one? I was on a tangent, brother.
I know, dude. Right? Like I forgot what I said. No, the owner part. The owner
Oh
part.
yeah. So yeah, so just to re-clarify, like one thing I know in my experience in this industry is if the owner is really good at retail and recommendation and the ritual of educating their salon company, their culture really absorbs that and also expresses that during their guest experience. And then the salon owners that have always struggled with it, or it's always been background noise, or it hasn't been a priority, they typically really struggle and are challenged right that because leadership is just a reflection of our culture, right? So, like, if it's not a strong point for you, it's definitely going to be a challenge, but it's not unattainable, right? It's truly about this mindset and the relationship that we have with our guest, right? And I think, the talking points that I want to talk with you guys, some things that always come for it's really, it's almost overcoming the roadblocks, right? So, like, a couple of excuses I want, maybe you guys can give some coaching tips. Like, if you hear like retail's too hard, right? Or I'm not a salesperson, or clients are just going to buy it somewhere else. Like, how do you guys kind of coach to that? Or how do you help your salon owners kind of coach that mindset out of your service providers?
Yeah, I mean, I reference like my best retailer in the salon to the point where I put her in front of the room at a staff meeting and I said, "Hey, Trinity, like over and over, you're a great retailer. Like share your tips." And you hear her through the salon educating,
Mm,
right? She's
yep.
educating the whole time, and she it's the point of saying it's not sales. It's that
Yeah.
prescription, right? The retail doctor.
Well,
Yeah,
Um,
nice.
and I always love the it's just an authentic transfer of enthusiasm, So to
Yes.
Richard's point with the finishing, this is what I'm doing. This is what's going to have the gloss. This is what's going to give you your texture, your curl. Like this is what I'm using. I'll leave some at the front desk. And like I'm a professional. Like that phrase has stuck with me for everything. Selling is just an authentic transfer of enthusiasm.
Mm.
Yeah. I love that, man. I think again, like I think changing the word from, selling to telling is one of our key components because it's really just it's serving when it's just rooted in genuine care to your point. Like, and I think Jacob, to your point, like I think if clients hear that service provider just educating, it also gets your other team on board, right? If they have any kind of self-awareness, right, and they're kind of reading the room, it's like, oh crap, I better do that as well. But if that's not even coming from the leader, right, that I feel like that's where it can get disconnected and, like to your point, become background noise, right? So I think that's huge too. Like Richard, what's coming up for you, like especially in the barbershop, right? They always say like kind of men are creatures of habit, but I also think that that's kind of a cop out because I know I can tell you like when I first met my wife, she taught me actually the first person ever in my like 24 years of an existence. She was the only stylist that actually taught me how to use product when I was looking for a look. So what kind of comes to mind on that
Or
barbershop?
was it that you were trying to get her to say yes to going out
Hey,
with you?
man,
Is that why you spend a couple $100
Hey.
on products to be like,
brother,
It's
I mean,
Salon's products. All right.
everybody knows me and my wife. I married up big time,
Yeah,
so it's just one
authentic
of those
transfer of
things.
enthusiasm goes both ways, I guess,
Yeah,
Chad.
yeah,
That's,
yeah.
Yeah,
More
you
on
know,
our end. I was just trying to collect a number, and then she ended up selling me like $50 worth of products.
Yeah.
So
she's like, sucker.
yeah, right.
no,
100%. Yep,
yeah.
that's great.
Actually, men use a lot of products. I don't remember the exact stats, but I think there's something like 22 different products that we use before we leave the house. That's
Yeah.
from cologne, shampoo, eye cream, whatever, and more men are getting into skincare. I have a lot of friends that are designing luxury skincare lines, and it's getting more and more accepted in the barbering world. 22. Where are they getting those 22 products from? Are they getting them from their barber? Which, barbers and stylists, we're on the forefront of the beauty industry. The hair is 90% of your image. Why not tap into skincare, colognes, deodorants, body washes, which that's everything that I retail at my barbershop company. And we start our promotions from head to toe, right? Like
Yep.
January, shampoos, eye creams promotions, right? Going into February, March, going into body care and things like that. Just it's really knowing and identifying your clientele base and knowing
Yep.
what they want and then educating them on it. Yeah, I like to think somebody told me at one time, if you had a tray full of cookies, like you have 35 cookies, everybody likes a cookie. It doesn't matter. You're going to ask every single person you walk up to, do you want a cookie? And you're going to get excuses like, oh, is it vegan? Is it this? Or is it that? I'm gluten intolerant. But your goal is to empty that cookie tray. And that's kind of like retelling is your goal is to educate everybody on what the benefits of the products you're using and the why behind it. And then if you think of it that way, your goal is just to educate and then in time, you're going to get the results that you want.
I love that. I think, yeah, that whole kind of excuse that clients can buy it anywhere and Amazon, like those are true. Like I won't deny that. But I was just on a L'Oreal team with like Salon Centric and State Beauty Supply, and they said in 2024, just professional haircut products was a $20.4 billion business just on the professional side. So to your point, right, they can buy, like clients are buying these professional products, but for some reason they're not buying them from you. And I think that is a big disconnect that you have to really think about because they're also predicting by like 2032 that it's going to be like a $32.4 billion industry. So it's really coming to the fact of right? Are we connecting deeply? Where are the relationships? Because I always like when I coach to this in my retail classes and salons, it's like people can go to any Mexican restaurant, but they choose some particular favorite restaurant. So you got to really reflect on stuff that you can control. And it's like, why are they not buying it from you?
Mm.
Right. And I think that's something that we have to be very, very mindful of and really focus on the why again. Right. So,
Well, you saying that makes me think, and I think we can't, right? Like, timeless truth is like you can't talk retail in Summit without talking about Christy Valenzuela.
yeah.
Right? Everybody agrees.
Yeah.
And the last retail revolution that I went to, which that's probably the most frequented class that I've gone to in person, like in my 8 years of being in the Summit world, because every time I take something away, and then now I bring people with me, leadership or staff. But she's like, do you have a salon with a retail space, or do you have a retail store with a salon?
Mm.
Right. And it's
Yeah.
the idea of most of us don't treat our space as a store itself. Right.
Yep. Like a
So
retail
what does that
experience.
look like if you begin to change that? So live feedback this week, one of my regulars buys product, like literally buys the liter at $70 of body wash, right? To Richard's point, like 22 products. So he's like, yeah, he stocks up. And he just gave me feedback. He's like, I was standing there waiting for you to come get me, and I'm looking around, and I'm like, I don't know what is for men. He's like, I was like, okay, so tell me what that would look like for you as a consumer, since you buy product. And he's like, I don't know, signage, imagery that's like men's section. That way, he's like, because you got all this stuff on the wall, but I don't know what is for me,
Yeah.
man, right? And so I just picked his brain as a consumer, and I was like, so tell me more. I'm like, would an ad, or like if I put a TV here where it's showing these specials and these highlights of this. He's like, honestly, it's as simple as like my signal, because I was then brought up my front desk, and he's like, yeah, my signal to the salesperson, whether it's in your salon or at any place I'm at, is me looking at the shelf. At that point, if someone walks up to me and is like, can I help you? Can I tell you more? Like, then I'm gonna ask. But I'm not going to ask for help if no one comes and asks me.
Yeah.
So then it's that whole, right, like teaching, training, accountability. And that I literally pulled my new front desk. That's 2 weeks new. And I was like, are you hearing what he's saying? He's expecting you to go to him. And even if you don't know, for you to be able to say, you know what, that's a great question. Let me go get one of our stylists to tell you which one of these you should use.
Yep.
And that to me, dude, that was live. I love live feedback, right? From my ideal demographic, because this guy is my ideal demographic.
Yep.
And I love that you brought up the signage as the graphics guy, because it's like it's never been easier to get a foam core printed nice sign. You can get aluminum back signs at FedEx office that trim tight. Like there's really nice ways. And I've been to a few places where it's like top 3 products for men, top 3 products. It's like something that gives you an idea of what's selling well or what the trends are right now, like to just move people a certain direction. That's awesome.
Yeah, and I think the mindset again, like to even Richard's points, I think the day and age that you think like gentlemen and men's cuts, that they're just using the 3-in-1 or Irish Spring for shampoo and body wash, like those days are numbered, and we've got to get over that mindset like really quickly, because I think like that's one of the fastest growing markets right now in the barber division. But we're also prideful creatures, and we're not going to ask for help. We're going to try to figure out our own, right? It's the whole like, get lost and ask for directions. You're like, never mind, I'll figure it out on my own, right? So I think customer service, I think again, like one of those things, like everyone thinks customer service is dead or everyone is like not helping other ones, but that's something that you can control. Like I think Jacob, I think that's a great idea. Like when is the last time you reconnected with your team and just, had those little pop-up questions? I think KB says it best. It's like, we don't need you to hard close like a car salesman. We just need to let them know the promotion and please feel free to shop around. Right. I think if you get anything out of today, especially in the next 4 quarters or the next 2 quarters for the end of the year, is having your front desk just tell your guests, please feel free to shop around. We have a lot of holiday kit promotions or gift card promotions. Let me know if you have any questions, right? I think that would just be a great beginner stage to really elevate the guest experience to just show that you guys care. Because again, it's all rooted in genuine care and not just selling products. Because I think everything. Yeah.
I was just, excuse me, Chad, but like when I'm coming up on December, and like who tells me as a stylist that Chad got 2 liters last Christmas? Does he want to get them again? Like, when do I get the information through? Like, the systems we have are so great, right? So it's like, I like that when I go in, Brian, last time you got this, can I interest you in that again? Does that partnership happen with the front desk, or are you looking at it before the client comes in? How does that tech work?
Yeah, I'm always kind of like a kind of protect your butt type person. I think the front desk support is always great, but I think honestly, it comes to personal accountability. And I think a good way to do that is as a service provider is using your planner tracker. Like you should be coming in 10 to 15 minutes before your visits and your day and looking at your client profile. I think right now a lot of software you can literally go in the back room, get on your phone, look at the purchase history of your client, and then start planning that experience from there. Right.
Like, how did it go? Like, just that small talk, white glove service where you're just like, how have you been liking the new conditioner? Like,
yeah. 100%.
Or even if you made that offering and they didn't purchase it, and make that offering again. And then that, by the third time, they're like, you keep on asking me if I want this product and I keep on denying it. Why do you keep on doing that?
Right.
Like, okay, yeah, I did. I have been. Thank you for noticing. And here's why, just like I told you last time, and I'm telling you this time, here's why I'm doing it. It's not because I'm trying to sell you on something. It's because I genuinely think you need this product in your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think
Brian,
there's nothing, there's nothing more. I think that's why we get caught up on the mindset is like, I don't want to be salesy, because sometimes we have the mindset of being the most salesy person in the world where you'll bring up a product one time, hear the word no, and then never bring it up again. There's nothing more salesy than that. But to Richard's point, continuously bringing it up because you genuinely care is a huge thing, right? And I want you to ask yourself, like, when you get like pushback from your stylist, it's like that's your point of difference. That's how we're going to elevate, our industry when it comes to aftercare and retail is, does Ulta do that? Does Sephora do that? Does Amazon do that? Do they actually check in on your purchase history? They might ask for a review, but they're not generally caring. They don't have that personal touch like you do to make sure that retail isn't dead, because we're just not taking those extra steps and creating awareness and just, again, being proactive about truly caring about our guests, right? And I
Sounds
think
like a relationship thing.
yeah, it's back to a relationship, right? I think retail, to our whole point, right, is retail truly isn't dead. We've just lost sight of the why retail and aftercare matters. And that really does come down, to leadership, right? And then I think also the support system. So I think that's kind of the next thing on that. When you guys think about another timeless truth is we really can't expect support without support, right? When you think about like brands and reps, they're not vending machines where you can just send them your order or give them money and then you receive stuff back. They're truly our partners. So like, can you guys think about like a time where maybe your brand partner really helped you out in your salon company and with your team, and what comes to mind?
I have, we do quite well with our retail at my barbershop company, and we'll get product lines asking for us to carry it and carry their product line. And then I scope them out and look, and then I'll give them a call and like, if I decide to put your product on my shelf, what do I get in return? Is there education? Is there product knowledge? Is there classes? Are you offering anything? And 90% of the time, most of those product lines, they're smaller product lines usually. They're like, no, you carry a good product on your shelf. And then I'm like, how do I know that's a good product? Because there's hundreds and thousands of them out there. What are you doing? If I'm selling $50,000-$60,000 a year or a month or whatever, what are you offering back besides space on my shelf and uh, real estate?
Mm.
And and that's very important to me as an owner. It is what is that product offering back? And I believe the products that we offer our partners, they offer a ton of education, a ton of support, how to inventory. I'm looking at this little black book of promotions, right?
Yeah.
From
Yeah.
L'Oreal. Prime example is like, are the product lines that are on your shelf, are they offering systems like that, to be able to retail and promote the products efficiently?
Right. Yeah. What's coming up for you, Jacob?
Yeah. So, I mean, so my reps, I'm gonna give him a shout out, Ben Smith, great guy, consistent guy, and always keeping us in the know.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, he comes on Thursdays, which is like my one day I'm behind the chair. So like often it's kind of a quick exchange between between I and him. But I've also have had him establish a relationship with my operations coordinator who handles the ordering. Right. So he's like, hey, I'll email Rachel and you, right? The sales promotion, the upcoming classes, the this, the that. He knows we buy, so we're always getting the next new thing as a sample,
Hmm.
right?
Yep.
We're this last week on Monday, we got an invitation to an exclusive Redkin kind of 2026 party that was in Austin, an hour away from here at a boutique hotel, and they wined and dined, and but they gave us insight on new products coming out. They kind of let us in on what's happening, what to start planning and preparing for 2026, right? And so that only happens. I always tell my team, because they're like, well, the tickets were free because there was like Gloss Boss, right? The tickets were free, so I'm like, no, 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 no. They were complimentary because we spent enough money.
Mm-hmm.
So see that this is a benefit of working at Dapper and Dashing, is that we get invitations and complimentary tickets because we spend enough.
Yeah.
If we didn't spend enough, we wouldn't be getting the invites.
Yeah.
And so I always got to position that, right? And that's, recruitment. Like, let's tie this into recruitment. That's a recruiting bullet point.
Yeah.
Hey, we have credibility, we have value, we have partnerships with national brands that provide you complimentary education and access to innovating and new technology and products.
Mhm.
Like, put that on a flyer when you go recruiting. Like, I'm going to the schools on Monday, right? Like, that's what we're going to talk about. How do you distinguish yourself different? Because I'm going to tell you, there's not a lot of salons out there that have that distinguishing factor when it comes to that relationship with their sales rep,
Yep.
with the brands that are on their shelves.
Yeah. I love it. And I think that's the biggest thing. Like, I feel like there's no brand out there that's perfect, but at the end of the day, right, it's still a relationship. And I think sometimes we get so frustrated on things that we can't control, right? And we start looking for alternatives, right? It's so easy to, bring on a different brand because it creates that excitement. But you got to ask yourself, for how long? Maybe it's awesome for a couple months.
Yep.
But again, you got to ask yourself, is that, a transactional thinking, right? Or a mindset of a quick fix? Or are we looking at really building a relationship with brands that like you said, education, back bar, social media collabs, right? Like, we've got to start thinking, when we look at like the real estate, to Richard's point, like, what's the relationship that we have? Because I think with AI and automation, like, your local brand relationship is going to be that last line of personalization to the know-how, right? I mean, I can name thousands of reps that help salon owners with their promotional planner. They do their inventory, right? They do PDMs, they come to the team meetings and talk about the new products or new education. Like, there are some brands that do that very, very well, and then there's some that don't because they spend all their money on marketing and advertising, right? So I think those are the biggest things. Like, you can't expect support, right, if you're not, building that relationship as well, right?
Which makes it,
yeah.
sorry.
No.
We've talked about this, and this is another timeless truth that we'll bring up over and over, is the triple win.
Yeah.
But let's inject the distributor, the sales rep, the brands as one of those factors in that triple win.
Yeah.
Right? That's what it is.
Yes.
Well, it's the company. It's part of the company, right? Like,
Yeah.
like to me, I own two different businesses, kind of going off of KV's theory, with do you have a retail section and right? So in my mindset, I'm thinking I got a retailing business and a barbering business.
Yep. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
I want
And
to
I think,
I'll take on one last thing here, and Jacob touched on it, which was reminding people like level loyalty rewards programs, right? Like the business, like your businesses having ways for people to reduce the cost of the product they buy from you by building up credits and like when you invest in that relationship with the salon, the barber shop, if I think those systems have gotten easier to implement to have some of those points on record with different payment systems. Pretty exciting, right? That like I got a free $5. That's a way to build that relationship. Holy cow, L'Oreal level rewards. So much you can do with that, and later comes sooner than you think, and those build up. And as you leverage all those pieces, it's like all of a sudden you're paying for Summit Unplugged in Cancun for some team members with your level loyalty rewards.
yeah,
And so it's all like I like what you said too, Chad, where it's like, we always want to look for the scapegoat. We always want to look for the easy thing, but it's like
yep,
a lot of that's looking internal
yes.
and addressing it. And when you have this extra money at the salon, barbershop, or extra money with the distributor, how exciting that can be to move you forward without breaking the bottom line.
Yeah, and I think just at the end of this day, and maybe you guys contribute to this, but I mean, I'm telling you right now, the healthiest salons right now, even there if they're a little bit down, are the ones where the reps are considered part of the leadership team and not just an outsider. And if you don't have a rep, right, that's okay, but build that relationship anyway. There's always going to be connections at the store level to just continue to build that relationship. Because like I think for you guys, like what like a question comes up like how has a relationship with your brand rep, right? Like kind of helped you grow through a tough season. And I know for me, when we were first starting out, like I don't even know where we would be without my rep, Rhonda. I mean, she was helping with contest and giving us free education as we were first starting out. We didn't have a dime to our name when we first started a salon company, and she was there just to help and motivate. And she's the one that actually introduced us to Summit to begin with. So, I mean, our relationship with our brand rep is really what got me through the tough season. So I'll definitely shout out to Rhonda as well. But can you guys think of a story where a brand rep really helped you guys out?
Man, the most recent, and he's not even my direct rep. He's just someone, a friend and an acquaintance through the industry. But he's a sales rep, an hour. His territory is an hour away, but I've known him now 10 plus years. He just one of our current associates came
Mm,
from referral from
nice.
him
Yes.
at a school an hour away from us with a student looking to work in my city.
Yep.
And when he called me, he's like, "Hey man, like this student's graduating, and she asked like what salons to go check out in Temple, and you were at the top of the list." And I just told her a little bit about your story and how you've all the things you've done and your success, and that whatever dream she has, you'll help her achieve. Like, bro, I'm like, I was like, you keep doing that, I might have to give you a little like little stipend there, little
A little
200
referral bonus, huh?
$200 referral bonus, right? Because
Yeah.
think about
Yeah.
it, right? Like
Yep.
it just like what we know in the percentage and statistic of like when we get a referred client
Yep.
versus a cold call client, the
Yep.
likeliness that they're gonna buy product, the likeliness that they're gonna be retained, the likeliness
Yeah.
that they're gonna do the upgrades is up the roof.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at this employee as like the same thing. Like you just been referred word of mouth, right?
Yeah.
And she's showing all the signs to be a good hire.
Yep. I
So
love
that
that.
would be my success story most recently.
Yeah. Richard, what about you?
Yeah, I had a similar story. One of my product reps.
Get your own story, bro.
I'm sorry, I'm stealing it. But we were short staffed a couple years ago, and she sent in a few people that I interviewed, and that's my biggest thing. Another big thing is like I've had accounts that I consult where the brand rep will go in and reorganize the shelves,
Mm,
put the product different orders where on the sitting on the shelf where it's more appealing to the client. as they're looking at it. Like sometimes I've been to companies where like they'll have like a shampoo, styling aids, and then the conditioner over here or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So like having a good rep that understands that, where they can go in and identify situations like, hey, if you put your product in this order, it'll be more appealing to the clients looking at it on the shelf.
Yeah, 100%, man. So here's your call to action after this. Hopefully you're getting some feels. I would love for you to like text your rep and just send some gratitude their way, man. I think they've been through the ringer just as much as you have. And just, shout out to them, tag them, just tell them how much you appreciate them, because I think without them, I think we'd be a lot worse this year than ever before. So I really challenge you to send a little love, send a little gratitude their way, and just show them some love, because I think just like you guys, they're feeling it just as much as you are for sure. But all right, so here's kind of the one thing, kind of controversial and just opinion on this, because I think it's starting to get some traction and I don't really love it. And it's kind of like the money truth, right? Where there are some companies that believe you actually don't make any money off retail. And, I think there's a lot of misunderstanding and a lot of missed math, but I'd love to kind of get your guys' feedback. I mean, do you guys believe that you don't make money off retail? What's kind of the myth, or what's coming up for you that's not tracking when it comes to that kind of myth that's out there in the universe right now?
Are
I
you
think
guys looking? I was just gonna say, are you guys looking at it like from that owner perspective, from that service provider perspective? Like I see a couple different ways to the lens.
Yeah, I would definitely see from the owner perspective, right? I think that we'll talk about the owner perspective for starters, but then even like the service provider perspective, we can kind of attest to that as well.
Yeah. Brian, I think you pointed it out earlier. If a salon company is making profit on product, paying for a summit retreat in Cancun with loyalty rewards, that means that you purchased enough to be able to afford with loyalty. That to me is profit.
That's
Also,
good.
I know of companies that I actually coach companies that pay for their whole entire front desk team with the sales of retailing, and that's not including hair extensions. That's just the wet line. Um, being able to pay from the profit, paying for a front desk team off of retailing.
Yeah, so the money, right? Like I just met with my coach. Like, right? Like you want a timeless truth. At no point are you ever got it figured out where you shouldn't have a coach.
Yeah.
So Kim Light, shout out again. She's still coaching me 8 years later. We looked at the numbers, and it's one of those things that we talked about consistency with retail, and that's and kind of tying into my point. I began to say this year to my leadership team, and for the sake of my own awareness, is we may tell someone, right, the script, how to say it, how to offer it, why the benefits. But statistically, it's said that we all retain 10 to 20% of what we hear.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're like, oh, I've told them twice. Okay, if you're lucky, they've retained 20 to 40% of what they heard. So it's like, how many times will it take for them, right? So it's like, that's 20, 40, 60, 80, up to minimum 5 times of telling someone to hopefully get 100% retention on the benefits and the reason and how there can be money in retail, why the benefits of retail, like all this, right? So like, I think that's a question to us as owners and leaders, is like, have you asked at least, and have you coached at least up to 5 different times, and say it 5 different ways? And so, the summit model, like we'll speak to what we know, right, as summit coaches and summit owners, is like it's broken down that 80% of our revenue should be service and 20% of it should be retail. Right? It's like that's kind of the gold standard.
Yep.
And so you guys pause too long, like you had me questioning myself there. And what I learned from my visit with Kim this week, and once again, I've heard it. It just took me hearing it again to really like hit home and be like, damn it, I should be in the retail business, not the salon business. And that's that gold standard average is like a 6% profit on services. So if you kick that to the bottom line and you do, I think I ran it on like, it was like 500,000 in sales, and retail, 6% of that could be profit if my line items are tight, right? If I'm not overspending on support staff, if I'm not overpaying on commissions, if I'm not overpaying on rent, like for what my sales are, like these details, it's like, oh my God, dude, I'm doing all this. And Richard, right? Like all the crap we put up with, right? Like to get 6%, that was my mindset. And that's where she then reminded me, she's like, that's why Randy Kunkel, Timeless Truth, is like, we integrated retail into, if you want a profitable business. And I think that's a conversation. I've had some coaching sessions recently where owners are admitting, like, I have one beautiful client, has a salon, and I've helped her open up a barbershop. She's like, it's taken me 21 years to be comfortable to say out loud, I'm ready to make some real money. I'm ready to profit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like that's deep. And I think that's where the retail conversation and the percentages and all that, it's like understanding that very few, y'all give me the percentage, like less than 5% of salons are profitable, right?
Yeah.
Give or take.
Yep.
What? Well, I could tell you that those 5% are selling retail, and they've got a healthy margin and balance of scale of understanding that at a average standard, I'm going to get 6% if I just sell retail, if I just do services. But if I can add retail as a substantial element of revenue, I could add up to that, let's call it 10 to 15%, depending on the volume.
Yeah.
Double
you didn't have to add any more chairs. You didn't have to add any, that's what I always see in my training on the retail is just like you work the same hour and you just added it on. Like you didn't need a bigger building. You didn't, you needed more shelves, but I always like that idea too, that you didn't have to do much more than have the options to sell it and learn how to sell it.
Yeah. And so there's all the, because like what I'm experiencing as a coach, and my own accounts are asking me this, I'm curious to know if you guys are hearing it. It's like salons want to know, like, how can I improve my profit margin on services, right?
Yeah.
They're like, we know we can increase prices, right? But at some point you can outprice yourself.
Yep.
And then that can do more harm than good. They want, you talk about other companies saying add labor costs, product costs to chemical services, right? An additional fee. I'm not dogging that. I'm challenging it as that may be the new way of business in the next 5 years. So I think people are testing it and seeing what it does to their business, and it is buffering that profit margin and making it look healthier. But is it sustainable? I think it's too soon to know, right? Like at what point as a consumer, do I revolt and be like, dude, I love this place, but man, I get hit with fees left and right? Like,
so Jacob, even if you're split shifting, even if like you're stuck at the 6%, right? Like even as you try and jam more in there, the growth, that's an interesting.
So where me and Kim talked about it was, you look at lightning services, right? That involve bleach and lightener. That's a fraction. That's a lot smaller of a fraction of cost for the premium price that we charge. So then she's like, well, do more lightning services, do more highlights. Yeah. So that is a strategy that can be like, hey guys, like, right. And planning for 2026, we want to do 20, 30% more highlights, lightener. And if you're using Vish, like, and measuring and charging for exactly what you use, like that's where you could pad that margin. But like in my business, I'm 70% barbershop. Like I'd have to talk 30% of my barbershop business to get the Slim Shady look. Maybe I'll bring it back, like 2000s again. Started in Dapper and Dash, and it was all for padding the margin. And so it's just understanding that, right? Like being able to have those conversations intellectually and being okay to be like, vulnerable to learn and being like, man, like there's still room. Like, and then I talked to a buddy who has a manufacturing business, school furniture, and he's like, dude, our profit margin's 5%.
Yep. Yeah.
So
I
then
think
that
it's yeah.
that just put things into perspective, because for a
Yeah.
second there, I was like, man, I'm working for peanuts. I need to be
Yeah.
in a different industry. And when he told me that, it's like, man, that's the game we're all playing. My buddy that owns restaurants, like he's telling me this, dude, his margins are up and down, right? Like the price of chicken, beef, whatever, it's like different every week. He can't adjust pricing fast enough.
Yeah.
He's working with like 3% margins at times.
You know, I really heavy thinking on this is I don't think a lot of owners are tracking their inventory or tracking how much product they need correctly, or maybe they are, they just don't, they're not staying consistent with the same system. So then it's like wishy-washy, you know, like I always say numbers never lie, you know, unless the information that's put in incorrectly, right? So it's like what is the ideal method to keep the right amount of inventory in a salon company?
Rich,
We have
I
a
think-
formula, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so what I've always been told is you want at least 2 months of your wholesale cost on your shelves, right? So, I mean, at the end of the day, there could be a lot of cash flow tied up on your retail shelves. So you got to be really strategic. But we typically recommend at least having 2 months of wholesale cost on your retail shelves. So you're not tying up cash flow, but you also look like you're in the business of retail, as KV likes to put it, because I think that's the misconception is, you know, and that's kind of the weird myths and rumors that are going around of not making money on retail is, you know, people saying like, oh, you're not making money on retail, you should just get rid of it on your shelves. But here's an affiliation link where you can just buy it from us. Like, well, are you in the business of philanthropy? Because how are you saying to me that you don't make money off retail, but you can turn around and make money off retail? So I think that's a huge misconception that's out there. And I think it's the real world view on that, right? To Richard's point is, right, it's the lack of systems, it's a lack of awareness. And I think for our salon owners out there, and if there's service providers listening to this, if our salon owners were in the business of, you know, truly making a bunch of profit, they would definitely be in a different industry right now. So this is definitely a language of love, and just being able to pay for these benefits and pay time off and paying for back bar costs is where retail is at. And, you know, this retail isn't just about making money or profit. It's really about, you know, stabilizing it, and it's about consistency, right? Because it's never going to replace the service profit, but really what it is about is, again, the guest experience. I always think it to a service provider is like, how does it make you feel when a client does actually take you up on those offerings, right? Because I know we have a really bad confidence issue in our industry. So when you know that these clients can buy these products from anywhere and they actually do buying from you, how does that make you feel? How do you reflect on that? And then how do you want to get that feeling even more often, right? Because even in our summit system, the reality is from level 1 to level 10, if 3 out of 10 of your clients take you up on retail, you'll go through our whole lifestyle level system, right? So I think there's that big misconception that we're asking you to not, or to be salesy or to recommend stuff that customers don't need. That's the opposite of what we're saying is, you know, you've got to have an understanding. You don't need charisma. You just need consistency that will truly reward your company for the long term, and really be able to elevate your salon company, right? Retail can help pay for, renovation. So if your salon's looking a little tired, right? To Brian's point, like you can use Level Loyalty for like new salon chairs, equipment, new websites, all kinds of things, right? And I think that's the biggest thing when it comes to like the myth on the money is, you know, get with your coach, break it down. We would be more than happy to hop on a call because the misconceptions are real out there. And I think they're not telling you the full truth. And I think you got to always remember, like, when you're buying retail, especially for the first time, like there might be a, you know, I don't want to go too deep into this, but like at the end of the day, like there's some great margins in retail that can help a salon company really get them over the top. Yeah.
And I'll just take on the service provider end. I've done so many video edits and workbooks, textbooks, some immersive, like, retail makes your car payment,
Mhm.
like you set these goals. Like what I love about this profession is like give yourself a raise, you know? So like spa, barbershop, salon, when you start to get excited about the education, learning new products, pass that on. And like, I love that 3 out of 10, you're going to be, it's like a baseball player, right? Like if
Yep.
you're hitting 300, if you're hitting 30%, you're like top of the league. It's like we
Yep.
got to like reframe. I know my son plays soccer and you have to shoot about 10 times to hope one goes in. So
Yep.
like there's all these metrics in other spaces. I love the insights on other profit margins for other businesses where we're so myopic, we don't see the opportunities. We kind of get stuck in that not very joyful space
Yeah.
of criticizing it. But I've just seen so much good on my end from all these facets. So I've really enjoyed the conversation.
I love the car payment, and I think you just have to associate with something, right? And again, like just to be completely real with you, like retail commissions aren't going to be life changing, but it truly is passive income for you in your career. As somebody that owns 4 rental properties and they say that that's passive income, tell that to myself, 4 weekends ago when a hot water tank went out and I was there the entire weekend replacing a hot water tank. Where with retail recommendations, and if you get that 3 out of 10, that truly is passive income because you didn't have to stay later, you didn't have to take on more clients, you didn't have to do these things. So when you talk about work-life balance, that retail part of your experience is truly, it's not going to be life-changing, but that could help towards retirement. It could help towards health insurance. Like set a goal that you're passionate about in your lifestyle and associate that with your retail sales, right? That's one thing I try to coach to all the time. And just really, relate to that as just not, again, selling, but you're making it a part of your experience and your guest experience.
Yeah. Guys, like this conversation, I'm thankful for you guys. I'm thankful that we have the heart and the passion for this industry, and I'm personally motivated and inspired to get off this call and like be intentional about the next 3 months, 2.5 months, 8 weeks, like literally, till Christmas, to try to like improve the margin for my own business. I'm just being honest and authentic with you guys. And then to the level that for next year, it's like I want to improve the margins. I want to be more intentional. So as much as I'm, getting some of the advice along with the rest of the panel, like I'm also having that moment of looking in the mirror and like I can do better.
Me too.
Right?
And sell those
man.
gift cards. Don't forget about those gift cards.
Oh, yeah, gift cards.
Yeah. But I think, that's a good segue, Jacob, because to your exact point, and we've all gone through this. I've struggled this, even as a coach coaching this to other salon companies and owners. It's like we know about the margins, we know about the roadblocks, but at the end of the day, right, you can be all gun-ho about in this industry as an owner, but you truly, where you really need to be spending your time is not switching color lines, not switching retail lines, comparing to stuff that you can't control. It's actually, again, to even Brian said this early, retail motivation comes from the culture and it starts with purpose and not pressure. And I think sometimes we get in these pressure situations as owners that we see a number that we have to hit, so we put a little pressure on our team, but it's really about starting with a purpose, right? We've talked about all these things, so I kind of want to kind of summarize today's like retail call as like, what are some motivational things that you coach to not only your own company, right, but like how are you overcoming these objections? And because I think a couple talking points that I want to, and then we'll go around the room here is, for me, I stopped calling it selling and retail and changed the verbiage to aftercare, right? And an intentionality, right? It's all about like, don't call it retail, call it aftercare, right? Or guest care, right? And just recommending and educating. And I'm going to be a little controversial. This isn't for everybody, but I got to show this out there because it's really helped a lot of my salons to help young team members be confident. And also for this, and it's not for everybody, but for me, it's like match the freaking price right now. Build the confidence. So so what I mean by that is if your client is taking a picture of it, you need to have a team meeting and encourage your team to say, that's a trigger. Like, hey, totally get it. You love it. Just so you know, we'll match any price online within reason. So they can take it home today. Like take that little bit of a hit and get that sold, because we know statistically if they will buy from some place at least 3 times, you've got them locked in as a loyal customer.
Yeah.
So like take the short-term hit, right? And I always like the disclaimer is like if they're like on the 3rd page of freaking Amazon, we all know that came from an Ulta dumpster when they're trying to sell it for $7. But within reason, I know we run promotions, we get specials from our brand partners, like just freaking match the price and be strategic about it. And I would really challenge some of the salons that are really just trying to motivate the team is I would even market or match it, right? Even market it and brand it that way for this kind of end of the year as just a huge challenge. I know that's not for everybody, but we really need to get some, personal goals, right? Maybe some extra income, and let's kind of like think a little bit differently, unlearn some old ways that, we're just discounting to discount, but see if you can match the price and get some confidence back in your team. So those would be my 2 things that I would launch right away that I've seen a lot of success in my salon companies.
Yeah. So one thing that we do is when a stylist makes a sale, they didn't check the shelf before recommending it, we're out of it, right? Instead of losing the sale, we created a special order form and we let them know if you'll put in the special order form today, you get 20% off.
Love that.
And then we get them to prepay for it. And then as soon as it comes in, we have the form at the front desk. They get called, they're texted, your product's here. And we've been able to, I'd say in our weekly order, we have anywhere between 3 to 5 special orders. And those are sales that were made versus not, right? Like, oh, sorry, we're out.
Yep.
Conversation ends.
Yeah. Conversation ends. Yeah. And that's where that awkward comes in, right? For your stylist. Like that's why they won't recommend. It's like, oh, I hate that awkwardness, so I'm never going to bring it up again. It's like trauma, right? Yeah. Yeah. I love that.
And the second, another KB statement that I've had to echo, and then we really got on it as a team was she'll ask in the classroom, right? Like, raise your hand if you have a loyalty point program. And then she'll ask, how many of you talk about your loyalty program? And it's like more than half the hands go down. And it's like, so you don't have a loyalty program.
Yeah.
Right. If we don't talk about retail, do you have retail? If we don't talk about loyalty points and you have a loyalty program, do you really have a loyalty program? And so we have this interesting scenario happening in our company right now. We're on about 2 or 3 months of really kind of focusing on loyalty points. And in our company, we reset at the end of the year. Like, so January 1, everybody goes back to 0. So we make, we let them know, hey, if you don't use them up, they're going to be expired. And so we've got clients spending, or having credit of 20 to 30 to up to $60 in loyalty points. And I, as an owner, had to reframe my mind because it's like I'm seeing the units move, but our retail to service is down because it's like, right, some clients are going out the door with a $4 purchase. And what I had to reframe, and I believe it, and I then had to give this to my staff is look at the value of retention. How much money did that client have to spend with you or with us to earn a free product?
Yep.
And they're like, yeah, but I was like, I know, right? But as an owner, as a leader, if you come to understand that, you're not in the discount game, you're in the retention game.
Yes. Boom. Yes.
Right. And so when I look at that, it's like now these clients, because, right, what was happening? No one was talking about the loyalty program. So then all these clients at the front desk are like, I didn't know I had points. I didn't know there was a loyalty point program. And they're like, yeah, you got $20. So you can get that $25 product and get it for $5 today.
But for yourself at the end of the year too. It's cool, right? It's splurge.
Yeah, but the long game of retention is, hey, I'm going to make more money on that client if he, right, like average retention is 2 to 3 years. So if I can get that client for 2 to 3 years instead of counting on having to get more new clients all the time, there's that, right? There's the element of like, hey, he really likes that skincare product he bought from us. So that when he runs out, he'll check, and maybe that next time he only has $10 in loyalty points, but he's going to be like, you know what, I'm going to buy it and I'll pay $15.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Or I always tell my staff, like, look at the points, and it's like, that's it. Hey, you have enough for a free shampoo, but this is the conditioner that I recommend you that goes with it.
Yep.
And get the full markup on the shampoo or on the conditioner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I love it. Yeah, I think again, just it's the consistency is key, right? I think that at the end of the day, like we have to be mindful as leaders and as service providers that consistency is key. And I think that's what makes it not salesy, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, I love those, dude. Those are great ways to just not only help the service provider, but so help the salon company as well. Yeah, cool. What's coming up for you, Richard?
Yeah, mine would be displaying the product in areas that are easier for the client to see them. So like in the little black book, it recommends on the entrance of off to the right of the door. Um, little psychology behind that. But having it displayed eye level is ideal. I also have information in your lobby about product on the benefits of using the product and everything like that is a good thing. Having mirror clings, stuff displayed on the mirror. Sometimes I walk into salon companies and barbershop companies, and it's cool that you personalized it, but are you in the business of showing off your personal, like your private life, or are you in the business of doing hair? You know, and uh and then education would be my last one is, are you educated enough on the product, especially now more than ever, on products with the advance of AI and people wanting to know what's in the products that they're putting on their skin and hair, right?
Yeah.
And are they good and beneficial? And then educating yourself on, because there's like preservatives and stuff that have to be in products that stand alone are not healthy, but when they're partnered with a good product, they're beneficial to be there for reasons, and understanding the ingredients and stuff because people want to know that information. So that's
I
kind
love
of
that, man. Yeah, there's so much misconception out there, I think, with ingredients now more than ever. And I think I think that just shows you that the consumer is super aware. They're super intelligent more than ever. They are super smart. So like, I think one of the challenges I hear all the time is the roadblock is they're not really super confident in the products. And as an owner, a salon owner, I realized really quickly, like most stylists have maybe 3 to 5 go-to products that they stick with, not like just their ride or dies, right? And I think with now more than ever, customers are looking for a more customized experience. Customers are craving, right? Custom recommendations from people they know, right? And that's truly your edge. If you were to walk into an Ulta or Sephora, like think of how many SKUs and product lines there are. Your edge is being able to customize it to to your client, to your guest on what's recommended for them, right? And that's truly, I believe, how salons are going to survive the next 5 years. There are those that like treat retail and aftercare as part of their like guest experience, their story, and not just stuff that's collecting dust on a shelf, right?
Yeah.
I think that's going to be the integration. And I think it kind of segues to our last question, like, what do you feel like the next generation of retail is going to look like in the salon industry, guys? We'll kind of close it up there.
Soft skills. I've been hearing that over and over. So many leadership podcasts, leadership events I've been to, and hiring events in the last few months. They are talking about developing up your soft skills. We're starting to lose it. You can look at industries like fast food restaurants where they don't have front desk team or people at the front counters anymore. It's all kiosk. And the businesses that are surviving right now are the ones with the better soft skills.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Yep.
That's good, man.
Yeah, I saw one too the other day that it was an ad where they were trying to create an AI front desk person for the front desk. And it was like an ad on my Facebook page, and there was like 400 comments, and I was reading the comments, and like all the people said, if I call a barbershop and it's an AI, I am hanging up the phone. Like they were not about that life at all. And which I thought was very, to your point, I think that really solidifies like the consumer behavior. Like I know there's a lot of hate and trolls on Facebook, but it was like overwhelmingly like
Yeah.
if I like because people can still kind of tell if they're talking to AI or not, and it kind of is still kind of irritating. Would you guys agree?
I think so, but I challenge that thought with just like that's what innovation looks like, right?
Hmm. Yeah, that's
Like
fair.
an uncomfortable until it's the norm, and everywhere you call it begins with an AI service.
That's true
Like
too. Yeah,
so
yeah,
I'd say for me on the subject of technology, so we're switching over to Forest Salon software, and there's a couple features in there that we're excited about that support retail. So one is on our website we'll be able to have or through the booking, right, where it will give you the option of select service. It'll give you the option to shop online, and we don't have an online store, but we're gonna have it set up to like pick up, right?
mm,
So I think there's something, right. I'm now looking at back to the thin margins we're working with. I'm like, if I can get 1 to 3% additional sales just by having that click button that somebody's like, oh, and by the way, when I come and get my haircut, I want to pick up my product, I'll take it. Right.
yeah, yeah.
The other is, Brian, you brought up like, what does it look like in the salon? Like to be able to say, oh, Brian, 8 weeks ago, you bought shampoo. They have that as a feature that you can turn on. That when you get checked in, Brian, it's going to let us know that you bought shampoo 8 weeks ago,
Nice.
right? So it's like I in my company and my personal one of my personal models is like in anything I do is to remove the I didn't know,
Yeah.
right? And so it's like all these things are
Love
like
that.
removing that. I didn't know y'all sold retail. Well, dude, you booked on our website and it says shop at our store. Hey, our front desk. I didn't know I was supposed to. Well, we know it pops up a note that lets you know Brian bought shampoo 4 or 8, whatever weeks ago. Um, and then um, and then back to the interactive like link with Salon Centric, like Salon Centric is I'm in Texas, so it's been this big wave of change because we've been a state RDA territory, and we're officially like literally our stores are closing for the next 2 weeks to make the transfer. And the Salon interactive link is going to be live, and we're going to embed that into our website. And same thing, right? I'm not going to rely on that being 100% of my retail experience. But if I can generate another 1 to 5% from there, right? Now I'm moving the needle.
Hmm.
So that's kind of my perspective on innovation and what the generation the next 5 years or so of our space looks like.
I love that. Yeah, with
So
automation, you're going to get a lot more consistency, right? Which I think you got to be a part of. And I think you definitely have to invest in that, right? Because I think sometimes as salon owner, with the margins being so tight, a lot of times we'll catch ourselves with stuff like that where we'll sit there, Heather, like, we're tripping over dollars to pick up dimes when something like that, if you could get 1 to 3% growth off that kind of automation or those call to action or those sales funnels, that
mhm.
would be an absolute game changer. So, yeah. Brian, any what do you think retail is going to be in the upcoming generations in the industry?
So, like, to me, it's like we said earlier, it's kind of those same challenges all the time. But I brought out like our latest tracker is just coming out, so we've redone the how you're kind of blending the personal with the professional, all the retail, measure what you treasure. So just like that's a classic that will
Yep.
just continue to figure out new ways to use it. And we just updated over the top to a sixth edition, which has like all the features and benefits and kind of what we were talking about. So the future for me is just continuing to evolve these and continuing to get people to like it's the same thing of the one you get 1 out of 10 tries. So it's like the more people that are exposed to these products that see goals are dreams with deadline dreams are goals with deadlines.
Mhm.
Goals are dreams with deadlines. But it's like that idea that you know, there is something to paper. There is something, the technology, gamification, there's all there, but there's also something with a pencil sitting in the back room, focused and being present. We've talked about that in some of the places, that there's something with presence and using a journal and kind of working. It's the soft skills that Richard was talking about, you know, the buzzwords, that interaction. So I think technology will continue to make it easier for people to share what's working, like we're doing with this podcast, or just kind of like continuing to close the gap of what is working for people and how it's different for everybody, and is all the more important for you to find your voice.
I love that, man. Yeah, so I think, let's do some closing thoughts on, today. I think when it comes to retail, right, I think we can all agree it's truly not dead, but you definitely have to pivot. And I think it does start with the leaders and at the top, right? We have to remember in this industry, it doesn't just end at the end of the experience, at the end of the chair, right? It's really about building confidence and maintaining their look in between visits. Because to your point, like we can only charge so much for that 2-hour experience. And I think just remembering, right, that retail is truly relevant more than ever, but we have to make it personal again, right? It's not about the sales, it's about the connection. And to Jacob's point, I'm gonna steal that, like the retention, right? I think those are the biggest things. And I think coming into these last 2 months, you have to be really intentional and end the year strong, and just remembering like, what can I control right now? And what you can control is your culture and your mindset with your guest experience. So those are kind of my closing thoughts. I'd love to hear you guys' closing thoughts after today.
I'd say for me, I'll leave us with the conversation and the thought on experience, right? Like I'm a big experience guy, and I love that one of my marketing buddies is like, dude, a fried chicken place can sell an experience. So like, what is it that you are selling, right?
Yeah.
And then I saw this video this week where it's not the product you're selling, it's not the can of Coke that you're selling, it's how it makes you feel. It's where it takes you, it's where it transforms you to, right? And so when you use those kind of, that reframe is like, we're not selling a can of hairspray or a bottle of shampoo or a puck of paste. It's how that client, we're selling how they're going to feel when they use that shampoo and their hair feels healthy, when they style their hair and it makes that fresh drop fade pop. Like it's
Yeah.
it's that, what we should say, it's that when my bottle runs low, they're going to think about, oh yeah, I'm due to go back in for my appointment. Right. So
Yeah.
I would say that it's like, can we be more disciplined, more consistent in coaching and teaching as leaders and owners to the experience that comes with getting the right product recommendation.
Yeah. Love it. Yeah, Richard, what do you have?
Yeah, I feel like the biggest excuse for not retailing in my barbershop company is lack of education. There's plenty of it out there. Like referencing for salon owners, barbershop owners is like, get with your reps, get with your product lines, figure out set a game plan for next year, start tracking your numbers, start tracking what's selling, what's not selling, and eliminate what's not, and gain more knowledge and the information. Summit's a good resource. Retail Revolution changed my life, with the different buyer types and everything like that. Get the information you need, prepare for next year, 2026.
Love it, man. Yeah, education is key for sure. And it's ongoing, right? It's not like a one and done. Like it has to continuously be part of your vision and your culture at the end of the day. Yeah, that's great. Hey, Brian, how about for you, bud?
I think there's like a soundtrack for this session here, and like in my head, when you like, I'm just thinking of like something like, I have an intention for your retention. What do I have to be to make you stick with me? I have an intention for your retention. So, that's what's coming up in me is like, let's feel it.
Fantastic.
That is for sure going to be the first clip we
Yep.
release from this call.
That's it. Boy band dance off. I love it. That's awesome, man.
It'll be a song. I'll look for a song hook on all of our upcoming episodes.
I love
Yeah,
it.
now, with the new version of Over the Top, get our recorded CD of
Yeah, they're all here.
number
Yep.
one hit.
Once Brian sings a song, it's eternally his. Yep.
That's awesome, man. Well, all of us from the Timeless Truth podcast, we hope you enjoyed our time together in this conversation. If you really enjoyed it, please like, comment, follow us on YouTube. If you see a clip of this, we'd love for you guys to connect, engage. We want you to be a part of this conversation. And just remember, at the end of the day, let's leave this day and this time a little bit better for the industry and kind of move forward at the end of the day. So cheers from all of us at Timeless Truth. We'll see you on the next one. Stop recording.